Hey everyone, and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. Especially over the last couple of episodes, we've been adding lots and lots of machinery to our base here. We are now producing radon again. We upgraded some machines in our clean room to IV tier, and we have some more upgrades to our on-demand processing over here, along with many more passive multi-block processes. And you know the one thing in common that all of these things have? They all require power. And lots of it as well. And power is something we really have to upgrade, especially with our current setup of just 2 combustion engines. This nuke has been off for quite a while, I think. And the fact that these are running more often means we're getting more pollution, and it also means that we have to produce more high-octane gasoline, which thankfully is actually keeping up with our current demand. So what do we do to remedy this situation? Well, I think for the time being we're just going to add 2 more combustion engines. I was thinking about maybe doing some fluid nukes or something along those lines, but honestly I think we're just going to double our energy production with the combustion engines, and we'll hold out until we can get some sort of probably LUV power. Now then, obviously to build these multi-blocks it takes a significant chunk of titanium. We're currently sitting at around 1600 here. Oh, this titanium is disappearing quick, and we've still got a lot of these components to make. But after some crafting, I think we've got the rest of the components here besides the dynamo hatches. So where is the best place to put these things? We could wall shear, but that means that the redstone controls is going to get a little complex if we have to run redstone up the side. Plus, I forgot you could actually wall shear when I was building the thing, so we have enough for another 2 full multi-blocks anyway. So I think we'll place them just behind our existing combustion engines, and I've rotated them round so that we can output power. I got the fluid inputs hooked up, the lubricant, high octane gasoline and oxygen round the other side. We also got the machine controller covers, which we'll set to enable with redstone. And then underneath is connected to our redstone line, which is connected to the battery buffer energy levels, so that the engines turn on when our batteries are low. The last thing is the power output from these things, so I think we can actually just keep this setup the same. It's kind of crazy the way we're doing this, but we're going from a battery buffer into an extreme transformer, which takes EV power into IV, and then we have 4 IV batteries into an an IV transformer up to LUV power, and all the green cable is LUV here. The only thing is, I think we have to swap out this 8x cable with at least 16x, since we're going to be having more amps that go through this cable. That should work, right? I think so. Let me do some testing with this, just to make sure we don't end up with any explosions when we walk away today. Oh hey, it works! All 4 of them turned on. And we have 8 amps of power going through here. Wait, 8 amps? That doesn't seem right. Huh, I guess the only output... Oh yeah, of course, there's the efficiency time, that's right. Yeah, now we're getting 12 amps inside the battery buffer. So I mentioned last episode about upgrading our miners, and I think it's about time we do that by now. If I actually remember where I left them. I think 1 is on series still, which was doing platinum. I think that is also finished. Yeah, it started to output its mining pipe, which means it is finished its operations. The other miner, I think we left in the Twilight Forest last episode, didn't we? Yeah, over here collecting diamonds. It appears to have actually still be running as well. How many resources do... Wow. Okay, that is nice. Yeah, this thing is actually still running. Let's, I guess we leave this one here. Hey! After looking at the recipe again for the upgrade, I'm not entirely sure we'll be able to get 2 of these things. It does require the tier 1 in order to make the tier 2. So maybe we just go and collect the platinum miner and just see if we can get at least that one upgraded for us. This miner here has finished, right? We're not just out of resources like drilling fluid again? Yeah, oh yeah, we're finished here. So what is the point of this upgrade? Well, we do get a fortune bonus of 5 rather than 4 on small ores, and the radius is also increased to 64 blocks, up from 48, which means that we can actually hit 4 ore veins at once. So it's going to be much more efficient placing one of these things than the tier 1s. Plus it takes us 1 step closer to the void miner, which will just pull resources out of thin air, which I'm really looking forward to. But this requires things like the assembly line process. We need fusion for this. We need to be in ZPM, I think. Oh no, we actually unlock it at LUV, the first one. All that fun stuff to look forward to, but we've got 1 step at a time here. We're still going to be making IV components for the upgrade. First part is easy. We need 4 tungsten steel frame boxes. Let's actually mix up a couple more stacks of tungsten steel dust. We could do with topping up our supplies a little. We're down to just under 400. Next thing for the upgrade is 4 iridium gears, which we managed to get our iridium ingots last episode. We have 50 currently smelted. And we need also 4 IV circuits, which we're still using the nano computers. I wonder how tedious it would be for us to get access to the next tier of IV circuit, which I guess is the quantum processor assembly. So looking at the tiers of IV, we start with the mainframe. We are currently on the elite nano computer. The next tier up is quantum processor assemblies. Oh wait, for this we need to be able to make quantum processors. And we can do everything here except qubits and more advanced circuit boards. It's time to jump down the rabbit hole. Gregtech at it again. So checking the quest in our IV tab will actually lead us straight to where we need to be here. The next quest for us is to make qubit wafers. And lots of the infrastructure we actually set up last episode with these 2 LCRs to make indium gallium. The indium recipe requires aluminium dust, and because we have that passive, it actually ate through all of the aluminium dust. So I'm wondering if we have somewhere in here that we can just top it up with. I mean, there's a few more stacks of crushed aluminium here. I think the real bottleneck though for us is actually sphalerite. So that's probably one of the first things we're going to put our miner on is sphalerite once we get that thing upgraded. But we have 36 indium dust, which is enough for at least the amount of circuits that we need. To make it into indium gallium phosphate though, we kind of skipped over this last episode, but we need to combine it with gallium. Gallium we have a couple hundred of. It's not the easiest thing to come by, but it'll do us for now. Although the other component in this recipe is phosphorus dust. In order for us to get phosphorus though, we're going to use apatite, and we have to be careful with our apatite usage here, since we also mix this with fertilizer for the forestry fertilizer to feed our farm. So when we electrolyze apatite dust, we get chlorine, which is useful actually. We also get calcium out of this, which if you'll recall is actually one of the bottlenecks here in making iridium. This input bus is supposed to be filled with calcium in order to process all of this indium chloride. Wait, indium chloride? No, iridium chloride. And the apatite electrolysis is also going to give us phosphate, which we have to electrolyze once more into phosphorus, and this is what we mix into indium gallium. I'm aware that things are getting maybe a little bit hard to follow, but I'm trying my best to explain things as we go here. It's kind of hard, especially if you don't play the pack, to follow along with what's happening. And it doesn't help that this is Gregtech New Horizons, where everything is intertwined. So because we want to precisely control how much of this we want to electrolyze, we are going to use a level emitter on one of these electrolyzers. Assuming we have channels here. Yes, device online. Okay, so right here we want to change the filter from kyanite dust, which I'm thinking we just move up to a separate electrolyzer up here. And that way we can change the filter here for the apatite dust and put our machine controller on the bottom side. So then let's say when we're above 1000, then the machine will turn on and just electrolyze the rest of the apatite dust into phosphate, which we then need to send into one more electrolyzer. We may as well just put it into the one next to it. There's no need to keep any of this phosphate as phosphate. I think the only thing we can do with this, other than electrolyze, is just to turn it into more fertilizer. So we'll just control the levels on this first electrolyzer here, and we'll just let all the phosphate be electrolyzed. One more thing is we have to blacklist apatite dust from the drawers, otherwise it will send all of the apatite dust from our system into here, and then it thinks we have none left in this system since we're reading from a level emitter, which only checks the AE system. So if we let it go into the drawers, we could have like hundreds and hundreds of stacks in here, but the level emitter would still think we have none, so the electrolyzer would turn off. So I just changed this channel to blue channel and it comes straight from the interface there. So now that we have that out of the way, let's go back to this qubit wafer. The whole reason we need this indium gallium phosphide is to combine in a chemical reactor along with radon and nano CPU wafers. The nano CPUs we have automated in this chemical reactor in the clean room. So we need to add one more EV chemical reactor along with radon. At some point I think we'll move this process into an LCR. But for now we're going to put the chemical reactor right here. And there's not actually any need for us to have the assembling machine in here. So we'll keep the double chemical reactor and the laser engraver, and this way we can connect it up to our radon supply here. Yeah, nice. You just have to rename the interfaces back here since we switched the position of some of these machines. So this will be chemical reactor EV radon, and this is no longer an assembler, this is now a laser engraver. I think all we have to do now is add the patterns for both, also a pattern for the cutting machine recipe, which we should be able to handle now. And that should mean we can request qubit wafers. I think we need 2 in total for the quest. This is still quite a slow recipe, it's 60 seconds per nano CPU. So yeah, in fact we'll definitely want to put these in LCRs once we have more power to overclock them. The last part we need for the upgraded circuits though is the more advanced circuit boards. This is the upgrade from fiber reinforced epoxy resin sheets, which we actually now set up on passive last episode, somewhere over here. I think it's this chemical bath that handles those. So all we need for this is a recipe with the sulfuric acid for the fiber reinforced, and then another recipe with energetic alloy foil. Oh wait, we already had the recipes for these. I really don't remember setting those up, but I don't think we've actually put them to use yet. I just probably added them since I knew you could handle them in here. That is forward planning again. So I think now we can switch to the cheaper circuits. We no longer have to make nanocomputers, which is IV tier. We can now make the quantum processor assemblies using this recipe right here. And the nanoprocessor assemblies we can switch to quantum processors. The key difference, if you'll notice in the recipe, is the quantum processors do not require the last tier of circuit, whereas if you make nanoprocessor assemblies, which are also EV circuits, you require 2 HVs, so it's much cheaper way of creating EV circuits. Both of these also require our IV circuit assembler, which we only unlocked last episode, which is why we couldn't upgrade earlier on. But yeah, we should now have cheaper EV and IV circuits. Maybe I should have held off on the upgrade for the combustion engines, but I mean, it was only 2 IVs. Let's also make sure we don't miss the quest here, so it wants us to make 8 quantum processors. We can do that, just not before adding another wire mill to our collection, since we're out of pattern slots on the rest of these things. Okay, now we can request our circuits. I did hold all the prerequisite items for this. Looking at the craft for 8 of these things though, that is a lot of energetic alloy. Things are getting expensive in different ways here. We're kind of relying a lot more on our blast furnaces. Single step EV circuits, nice. And once these circuits finished, we can get our next quest. The next quest after this is for LUV and then ZPM circuits, but we're going to save those for another day. But let's not squirrel anymore and upgrade this miner. Alright, we got our brand new miner set up. We did actually have enough titanium for this, as it no longer requires steel. Instead, it's the titanium frame boxes and machine casings. But this is set up in exactly the same way we had the tier 1s. We're getting fuel from our ender tank, and we're sending all the items through the ender chest. So the way we have this placed is currently on a galena vein, but I'm hoping it also picks up this tungstate and sulfur. And also redstone. Redstone would be quite nice for the ruby. But the sulfur we can get sphalerite from, and of course galena we also use in indium. And then tungsten, we can always use some more tungsten. But yeah, this is just going to do its thing. It should have plenty of fuel to keep it going for a while. I did forget to bring lubricant though, so I'm not sure how long this will last. I'll keep an eye on it, I guess. And you may have noticed there that I did go in search of sphalerite in the end. Apparently you can get it from there, but I was in there for a while and I couldn't find any of it in there, so I don't know. Another thing is we have to start emptying some of these chests. Every now and again I come and throw some of this through our ore processing system. But I don't want the miner to start voiding stuff, as I also forgot the machine controller. The controller was still on the old one when I upgraded, so I didn't take that out. In fact, let's just put that in the chest so I remember for next time. Alright, so what's the next plan for this episode? Well, there is a tiny little project that's been in the back of my head for a while, and I would like to get it finished off today actually. And that is to move the last essential process from our old base, which is polyphenylene sulfide. I noticed that we're down to like under 20 of these things, although I didn't realise we had some in here. But regardless, the polyphenylene sulfide foil is used to coat all the higher tier of cable, and we're getting to a point where we need lots and lots of tungsten cable and tungsten steel cable, so this is not really a process we can live without. Who is making all that noise? Oh, hello there. I think he's been there for a while, if I remember right. It's going to take me a good hour or more, probably, as I would like to move everything over into LCRs. But yeah, I'll be back, hopefully, with automated polyphenylene sulfide. Yeah, that really wasn't as bad as I was first expecting, actually. Making these LCRs is so much easier than it was in the past. And we now have a fully passive system for polyphenylene sulfide. So I'm sure you guys know the setup for these by now. We are making dichlorobenzene in the first one, just a mix of chlorine and benzene, which we have lots and lots of now. That then gets filtered in the top of the second one, where it also takes sodium sulfide from this chemical reactor below it. And we're supplying the sulfur and sodium from our AE system down here through the use of this interface. So that goes to the input bus and will make us polyphenylene sulfide, which automatically goes to a fluid solidifier for sheets, and then is sent into a bin machine for this sulfide foil. I don't think there's any other use for the fluid or the sheets, so we just send it all into foil, and we have a little storage bus back here for extract only. And that way we are always buffering at least a stack of polyphenylene sulfide foil. Although if we need to buffer more, then we can output and set a level emitter on this instead. But honestly, I think a stack is going to be fine just to buffer. Both of the LCRs were running at HV, transformed from EV down here. And then we have one transformer for the solidifier and the bending machine, which is run at MV. This process really does not have to be that fast. The recipes are already really quick, and yeah, we get so much polyphenylene sulfide from the fluid anyway. Now that we have our power situation band-aid fixed for now, and we are amassing so many more materials, I think it's time that we look into investing in our ore processing system. And we've built it in such a way that it should be easy to expand and make faster as well, so I want to start with the thermal centrifuge actually. We're still only using one MV thermal centrifuge, which is pretty unacceptable at this stage of the game. So again, we have two options with this. We can either go for the processing array, or the ones you guys keep commenting about is the GT++ multi-blocks, which I think we're going to check out today actually. So this tab in the quest book we really haven't paid attention to much. The only thing I think we've made is the sifting machine, and also the steam grinder, which was way back. There's actually some really nice options in here as well, including things like the fishing port, which is basically just an electrical fisher. It reminds me of that multi-blocking interactions. That was a lot of fun actually. But yeah, it seems to unlock any of these multi-blocks, we need something called the alloy blast furnace first. After checking ahead at the recipes for the large thermal refinery, which is the thermal centrifuge equivalent, I think we can actually get away with not making this alloy blast furnace. But that's no fun, we're not going to skip this thing. I'm kind of excited to see what this is like. Let's build it anyway. And it's time to embrace the GT++ alloys. There's going to be a lot of them coming up here. Okay, let's start with the controller multi-block. So we need something called zirconium carbide. I'm stuck already. How do we make... Is it from the dust? Yeah, I guess so. So this is zirconium and carbon. Okay, it seems to me, unless I'm missing something, we have to be on Ross 128b, which is a planet we haven't visited yet, and we need to get red zircon. Hold on a second. I just had a thought actually. Instead of going to Ross 128b, we are instead going to drop by the moon. Lots of mobs here to greet us today. But a few episodes ago when we moved our oil rig over here, I did also place our single block miner. Oh, how did I miss that shot? No way that missed. Yes, this is where we left our single block, which apparently stopped itself and gave us all our mining pipe back. Oh, did I do this again? Did I place it on something we'd already mined? Oh, this wasn't part of the plan. This was supposed to be full of resources. Well, mistakes happen, I guess. I guess we are going to Ross 128b. There's a chance that we can get zirconium if we sift cassiterite or tin, so I was thinking that could be an option for us, but I guess not. While I'm here though, I may as well check on this oil rig. Looks like we got some maintenance on this thing to do as well. I'm glad I stopped by. Okay, I really didn't want to sidetrack this much, but hear me out here. What if we try to get an ender chest so that we don't have to take 2 trips to Ross 128b? It means that we can go over there, set up the miner with the ender chest and have it connect to this one, so that we have our resources trickling in and we don't have to take 2 rocket trips. The only trouble is we need the nether star plates for this, as well as another sensor and emitter, but we should be able to manage this Thaumcraft wise. And I was checking our AE system, we are 1 nether star plate short. And to get any more, it means we need a block, which means we need a whole 9 nether stars to cut from the block. I'm almost tempted to try the loot chest, just to see if we get an ender chest that way, but I'd rather spend the time getting a 100% chance at one. That is one rabbit hole a little bit too deep for us today. And I also mentioned about the mob farm. There's way too much for us to do in this pack. I think I'm just going to grind this out manually again. I don't think it's going to be too bad with the beheading we get from the cleaver. Plus we start with 9 since we got these from a quest reward somewhere last episode, so we only need a few more to be honest. Oh man, after so long, we've got our first legitimate ender chest that we're crafting here. Just think about all the time we need to invest in order to unlock this thing. Not only do you need to be an IV and have iridium and IV circuits, tungsten steel, you also need to progress far enough through Thaumcraft, which means infusion crafting. You need to smelt Enderium, the nether stars as well. This is just insane, but here we are. So in the end, I actually did decide just to make the powered spawner. I was in the nether for way too long. Plus we'll need some more nether stars in the future anyway. Alright, so I also went back to the Twilight Forest to pick up the miner. We'll have both the single blocks as well, which I kind of want to place on some more diamond veins. I guess we'll see what other sort of ores we can find there on Ross. But again, I kind of want to make the most of each trip, especially to tier 3 planets and above, because this does require LMP fuel. And LMP is not the easiest thing to make for us, especially since we don't have it automated. Although I think we do have some spare in here, yeah. It's going to last us a decent while, I'm not worried about that. All of our oxygen equipment is now in the Spectre dimension, so we don't have to worry about that when travelling to new planets anymore. Although if I remember correctly, Ross is the habitable planet, in that it does have breathable oxygen in the atmosphere, so I don't know, maybe we don't even need our oxygen tanks. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot to top up the lubricant here for the drilling fluid. Okay, now we're ready for some exploration. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've been on this map for like 5 minutes trying to find Ross. And I thought it was like, we had this trouble before, didn't we? So I was like in all the moons and Mars, like, where is this thing? But it's actually down here to the south, all the way over here is Ross 128b. It's actually classed as its own system here, which is kind of funny, but I never would have found this thing if I didn't search for it online. Oh, and we get the lander pod as well, that's nice, that's cool. Wow, we are falling really slowly here. I guess it's because we've got an atmosphere. Yeah, there is life on this, there is trees and water. Well, I guess we start with some prospecting, as always. Alright, the first book reveals some very foreign ores here. I have no idea what any of this is. I recognise bismuth. We got a graphite vein. Oh, and we did get red zircon, that's exactly what we're after. So I've went ahead and set up our tier 1 miner on this ore. Let's make sure we actually cover all this. I'm not sure if it rains here, but I don't really fancy taking the chance. I think all we have to do is the maintenance and give it the mining pipe. And it's off, nice, okay. Let's also place down the smaller miners. I think I'm going to place those on... Actually, what else do we need here? Maybe we should look ahead at some of the other GT++ multi-blocks. After searching a bit through NEI, there's not really a whole lot we can find here. I mean, there's lots and lots of nice things, but nothing specific, I don't think, for any of the other multi-blocks. So we are just going to place it here on another graphite and diamond vein, which apparently is more concentrated than any of the other worlds we can find it in. We're also getting this olanite, apparently, which we can electrolyze. I've noticed that a lot of these ores we can actually electrolyze, so we may actually have to rebuild that thing. Our electrolysis setup. I'm realizing that we're not going to have enough space for all the dusts in the game, so perhaps we make the multi-block for it? The GT++ multi-block? I don't know, I think some of you guys in the comments were correct on that. We'll see, we'll see. Anyways, we got our miners running. There is also some fluids we can pick up here. It looks like there's a very heavy oil, natural gas, distilled water, and I think we can also pump lava from here, but that's something we'll come back for if we need it in the future. For now, we still have lots and lots of crafting to get this multi-block up and running. But we don't need to be here to wait on the miners. We got the ender chest, of course, which is a huge, huge upgrade to our mining capabilities. Which chest does it appear in, though, is the problem. We are definitely getting it through here. So it's got to be in one of these chests at least. I think it's maybe this one. Yeah, this is their red zircon here. And it looks like I think we want to be sifting this stuff since we get the most output, and then we want to electrolyze into zirconium. And if we ore wash, it gives us, oh, it gives us some extra zirconium if we ore wash. So yeah, we want to ore wash this as well. We can add it to this drawer network, and then filter the purified in our sifting machine here. And since we're definitely not going to rework this electrolysis setup today, we're gonna add another single block for this, and we'll filter in the zircon in here. Yeah, there we go. And it also gives us a fluid out of this, right? Yeah, we get oxygen. We just have to add it to the import interfaces here. Alright, so now that that's set up, there is still a few more crafting components that we need for this that we haven't seen before. One of those being an IV alloy smelter, which is IV circuits, an IV machine hull, tungsten steel wire, and platinum cable. Actually quite easy. Very good, there's our alloy smelter. For the controller block, we also need some gold cable, easy EV circuit, and HV circuit. We're also going to need a set of blast smelter heat containment coils, which is made from titanium gearboxes, and also an alloy called stab alloy. Stab alloy is made in the mixer on circuit 12, so we don't have any automation for circuit 12 yet. So we're going to use our EV1 that we have here. Gives us 10 dust. This is a mix between uranium-238 and titanium. The stabaloid dust we have to throw through the blast furnace. Although we should get really good overclock with this. Yeah, 4 seconds per ingot, that's really nice. 10 seconds to cool though, so this vacuum freezer is going to back up a little bit. Apart from the stabaloid though, I don't think there's anything else that's stopping us from making this alloy blast smelter. Alright, well, here is the alloy blast furnace. It's a bit of a funny looking multi-block. I don't know if I'm a fan of it, to be honest. So I decided to extend out our base a little bit, and I think we're going to put another room off this way, where we can have more of the GT++ multi-blocks. I know that we do get things like the large-scale auto-assembler, which we can use for assembling recipes. Eventually, right? But things like that we'll put in this space, I'm thinking. And I've extended out the walkway here. I'm experimenting with maybe doing a second level up here. And then maybe the same on the other side as well. I kind of want it to be symmetrical though. I don't know, I think that's something maybe I'll play with between episodes. The thing that took the longest though was trying to figure out how to power this thing. So it's a bit of a waste going like LUV power just to power one alloy blast furnace right now, since we're only running this thing at HV, I think. We got the HV energy hatch on there. But I wanted to really plan for the future and keep the cables nice and straight here. So this line right here will be the middle of the second room. So it works out really nice the way we have it here. The only thing is, for the quest, we need to hold 16 of the coil blocks. I guess I didn't have all 16 at once. Oh, that unlocked a lot of quests now. Even though, yeah, as I mentioned, I think technically we don't actually need it for the thermal refinery, which I don't think we're going to get today, to be honest. But you know, I think this time it was actually a worthwhile detour to take. Alright, you know what? Let's actually try this thing out. So, the thing we need for the thermal refinery is talonite, which is a mix of cobalt, chrome, molybdenum and phosphorus dust. I think it's also circuit 4. Do we need the soft mallet? Oh, there we go. It works. 30 seconds, and this, unlike the regular blast furnace, actually outputs fluid. So in fact, maybe we should get a machine controller for this, just so it doesn't void the outputs. Yeah, machine controller and fluid detector cover, so that if there is ever any fluid in here, it will turn off the redstone signal and turn off the machine with it. But yeah, this gives us a fluid, which I guess in most cases we want to fluid solidify. So it's probably worth setting up a little fluid solidifier here on site. And then of course we'll also hook up the inputs to applied energistics. Although there is various circuit numbers with this, I'm not sure how we're going to handle it exactly. It may just be the case that we have this as a manual machine and we'll just batch craft with it, since pretty much the only use for it is to make the alloys for the rest of these machines. But I think with that we're going to wrap things up here. Unfortunately we didn't get our thermal centrifuge. But I'm going to work a little bit on that between the episodes, and I think actually next time is going to be a live stream. I was thinking maybe we do some work on the platinum line to try to get a bit more requests through the IV chapter to unlock palladium and rarity. Things like osmium as well. We have to process some more of these byproducts that we're accumulating here. In fact, I think one of them is actually full. Yeah, palladium is actually full up here, so we're no longer processing any more platinum. So yeah, with that, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more Gregtech New Horizons.